All right, welcome back to Gen X DC. This is the place where we talk about all things DC in the 70s and 80s. I'm Spencer White, producer of the WGTS 91.9 morning show in the nation's capital, and I'm joined, as always, by...
I'm Dan Lucotta, the former morning show producer at WMAL Radio here in Washington, D.C. And today we are going to talk about venues.
Yes.
And I'm so excited about this because one of my favorite venues of all time was the Capitol Center.
Oh, yeah.
Capitol Center is built right around 1974.
Uh-huh.
It was made up in red, white, and blue, pretty much set for the bicentennial year.
Yep.
It held about 20,000. I've seen everybody go through there. My first concert was 1976. I saw Boston, and that set the stage for my...
I saw Neil Diamond. My dad was a Neil Diamond fan. That was my first concert.
And Neil Diamond probably came 2 or 3 times in a row.
Yeah, he did. And I think we went to each one of them.
That's awesome. We would do that with Springsteen. I've seen Springsteen like 43 times.
Uh-huh.
Because he would come in blocks of 3 or 4, and we would catch him when he did these blocks. It was like $10 to go see a show or something, even less. So it was awesome. The Capitol Center was so cool. It probably held about 20,000. The parking lot was one of the best parts of a concert because you go hang out, you meet girls, you meet people, you're chilling, you're talking about the show and music, and all the shows you've seen, and then you'd go into the show. So, just so cool. I love the Capitol Center. Just such a cool.
And actually, there's actually a video on YouTube. Was it Judas Priest?
Yeah, it was a Judas Priest concert. Yes.
So if you go to YouTube, you can see the Cap Center in like 1985.
85, 86. It's called Rock and Roll Parking Lot.
So I didn't even know who Judas Priest was. I still don't think I've ever heard a Judas Priest song. I don't know if that's a band or a guy's name or a real priest. I don't know.
No priest, just a band.
But I did see part of that video, and it like took me back to the 80s. I felt like I was in the 80s again.
It's so cool. It's like the typical 80s guys that, you knew like, hey, man, hey,
right.
Rockin'.
Well, it's funny. See, you went to all those, incredible music performances. I went to so many of the sporting events. So I saw, the Bullets and the Caps. And I remember I saw Michael Jordan score 51 points one night. I saw Larry Bird just kill the Bullets like he did all the time.
Yeah.
But just saw so many just incredible players in that building, and just a special place that I always remember.
Wonderful place. I always still think of it. It still makes me smile. So, and folks, check out YouTube. Check out the Rock and Roll Parking Lot. It's so cool. It gives you that idea of that feeling back, for the Cap Center at those shows.
So speaking of places that make us smile, I'm going to stick actually closer to our house, a little bit closer. We both grew up in Adelphi. I'm going to go to College Park.
Okay.
Cole Fieldhouse.
Yes.
And actually, if you see a little bit over here behind me, I have a piece of the floor from Cole Fieldhouse.
Oh, cool. Yes, I see it.
And to me, Cole Fieldhouse was the greatest because, as a little kid, I would go up there and go on the court and play. Because back then, I don't know if they lit you, but we did. We went on the court, we'd shoot around in the daytime. Pretty sure you can't do that now. Well, if it was there. It's now a football training place. The football team, I know, practices in there now. But, so many incredible Maryland games over the years. I remember I went to the Maryland against Virginia when Virginia had Ralph Sampson. They were number 1. Adrian Branch hit a buzzer shot in overtime to win it. It was an incredible game. I remember Lefty Driesell running on the court. And then, of course, Gary Williams was the next coach. But they also had incredible games, historic games. They had the Powell Memorial from New York high school team with Lou Alcindor, who was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And they played DeMatha from Hyattsville and Morgan Wooten. And Morgan Wooten prepared because I guess, obviously Lou Alcindor is really tall, 7 foot, whatever, 5 or whatever. And they practiced with tennis rackets. That's how he simulated that. So anyway, DeMatha beat them. So, and then another historic game was 1966, Texas Western upset Kentucky with Adolph Rupp, and I guess Pat Riley was on that team. But the significance was it was the first time anybody ever started an entire black starting lineup. And not only did they win, they went down in history, and there's actually a movie called Glory Road that you can see that's about that. It's just incredible. But again, so many great things. But one thing I remember about it, I remember going to a February basketball game and walking into the building and it being so hot. You'd be outside and it would snow everywhere. But you go inside and it's boiling. Whether you went there in the wintertime or the summertime, Cole Fieldhouse was boiling hot.
Always warm. Well, I graduated from college in Cole Fieldhouse, and I remember being hot.
Yeah, well, see.
Of course, that was May of, beginning of May, but I remember being hot. It was always hot in there. Probably still hot right now.
Yeah.
Not in the middle of January. But, well, you got me thinking of, different venues for sure. Especially when we started planning out we were going to do this.
Right.
So, I have to talk about Meriwether Post Pavilion, just up the road,
Columbia,
between DC and Baltimore. Meriwether Post still is a very artsy venue. It can go from having the orchestra to the Beach Boys to Jackson Browne to Boyz II Men.
I saw the Beach Boys there. Yeah.
Oh, the Goo Goo Dolls, and you got a lot of bands coming through there. And a quick note is Jackson Browne's Loadout, People Stay. That was all recorded at Meriwether Post Pavilion. So the versions of those you hear on the radio, that's from Meriwether Post Pavilion, 1977, right in that time frame.
It also, like you were saying, graduations at Maryland. They had graduations, and my daughter graduated at Meriwether, graduated from Howard County Schools. And then a couple of years ago, we were outside. We're close to Meriwether, or at least close enough you can hear everything that's going on there. And I heard somebody singing Billy Idol's White Wedding. And I told her, I said, see, whoever this is, they're trying to sing Billy Idol. And they're not doing as good a job, but it's all right. It's all right. Turned out it was Billy Idol.
Uh-oh. Get Billy Idol at you.
Right.
What you mean, Spencer? I'm rocking here at Meriwether Post Pavilion.
Yeah, I'm sure so many people have memories of Meriwether, but another place I think a lot of us have memories is RFK Stadium in Washington.
Sure.
I mean, who forgets, tuning into CBS to watch the Redskins play, and they say, and Brent Musburger would say, you are looking live from RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C., and you'd see the Capitol in the background, and then the Redskins and the Cowboys on the field. Oh, it's just incredible. And my favorite game ever that I watched that was there was when the Redskins beat the Cowboys in the NFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl, 31-17. And probably my favorite moment was when Dexter Manley tipped the pass to Darryl Grant, and Darryl Grant high-stepped into the end zone, and that was one of the greatest moments knowing our Redskins were going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, man.
And another thing about RFK, it shook. And in that game, it really shook, and I loved it. When I saw it on TV, I thought it was a great thing, and I wanted to be part of it.
But how about when you're there?
Unfortunately, when I was there, not so much. I needed Dramamine. I didn't have any with me, so probably not the best thing for me to be on that level where they're doing that. But so many great teams played there over the years. The Senators, of course, when they came back.
Yes.
I saw the Nationals. My wife and I went to the first game. I guess it was 2005 when the Nationals played their first game against the Expos. And they've had soccer.
DC United, just going to say.
DC United, the Washington Diplomats before that. That was in the 70s and probably a little bit in the 80s. I remember Team America was 1983. And, of course, they have had so many. I guess they played a World Cup game there.
Yep.
But, so many incredible things that have gone on in that. But just a special place, and especially us Redskin fans, that is definitely a memorial to us.
Well, if you take the Metro down a little further, a quick honorary mention, there's a venue that's no longer there, DC Coliseum.
Right, absolutely.
Circus come through it. It had music come through it from, Led Zeppelin supposedly played it, I heard. You had Bob Dylan play it. Just this neat little, it wasn't very big in the sense of it was you probably hold 1,000 people maybe.
Right.
1,500 maybe. But if you take the Metro South, and it's at the Gallaudet stop. Its claim to fame is February 11th, 1964. The Beatles played there for the first time in the United States.
Now, you hosted that, right?
I hosted it from my dad's imagination. That was a twinkle in my daddy's eye by a few years. But if you continue on down the Metro, Capital One Arena, that to me is one of the best places to see, for me, the music shows. Easy to get to by Metro. Everybody comes there from Springsteen. The Eagles have come through there. The Who have come through there. Yeah. All these guys, all these musicians. The Killers are going to play it next year. They're supposed to play it this year, but they'll play it next year.
Right.
Um, Imagine Dragons, all these guys come through there. It's a great venue. It's a great food around there. Abe Powen built it, put it in DC, specifically put it in DC to
Yeah.
have, DC have a venue within it. Back our radio show when it was Hardin Branton Parks, we did our show live when it was first open as the MCI Center. The day
Wow, that's awesome.
we went down and broadcast live from the center court. Had a lot of people come through, from the architects to the sports players to the celebs. They all came and were on the show with us. And Abe, I remember him talking about how you could take the old Capitol Center and set it inside the bowl of the MCI Center.
I believe that because I went to the Stanley Cup Finals against Detroit when the Caps played Detroit in the '90s, and I remember we sat in the last row, and it seemed like it was like miles away to the ice.
It's a pretty good distance, but they have the big screens and have the audio, so
Yeah.
you're still
it's great. It's absolutely
part of it. You're not feel like
absolutely.
3 counties away or something. Have
Yep.
a quick Abe Powen story.
Okay.
Gotten married, and I had 2 little girls, and he knew that. So he ended up hooking me up for the circus that was coming through there. He gave me his private suite for that evening, and it was incredible. It was just me, my wife, and our 2 daughters in this big old suite with every little kind of thing you could get at the circus.
Awesome.
Was sweet, from popcorn to cotton candy to drink cups to little circus elephants, and he didn't have to do that.
That's such an Abe Powen thing to do.
Kindest person.
Absolutely. I heard stories about him all the time. He's legendary.
He got it. He understood. He had a zillion dollars, but he cared about everyone around him and made sure that he took care of those
Right.
He did all sorts of things. A great guy.
Incredible. You're making me feel really good. This is making me feel really good. I'm going to add a venue a little bit up the road, even from Merriweather.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Memorial Stadium up in Baltimore. And
we did not have baseball in D.C.
That's right. So we had to go see the Orioles. The Orioles are our team. And it would take, 30 minutes to get to Baltimore. And then once you get to Baltimore, it'd take forever just to get to Memorial Stadium. Now you have Camden Yards, which is right there. It's so convenient.
Yes.
But when we had to go all the way to 33rd Street, oh, man, it took forever. And I remember the first game I ever went to was the 1979 World Series, Orioles against the Pirates. Jim Palmer was pitching. And I remember getting out of my car. I was 8 years old. I wasn't driving. My dad was. But getting out, and I look up in the up in the sky, and I see what I thought was a UFO. Okay. But it turned out my dad said, no, that's the Goodyear blimp. Oh. First time I ever saw that. Go inside, and I remember hearing Howard Cosell's voice on the television sets.
This is Memorial Stadium.
And walking to our seats and seeing that green, fresh-cut grass. It just, and I remember the Pirates wearing their yellow and black, and the Orioles wearing their orange. It was just even though the Orioles lost and ended up losing that series, that was something I'm never going to forget. And just so many great memories at Memorial Stadium. I actually remember one time, me and my brother, we wanted to catch a fly ball. And this is during batting practice, and we were sitting there with our gloves. The ball came, hit the ground. My sister picked it up. Well, one of the players saw it. Mike Flanagan came over and autographed the baseball for her. So me and my brother, we're sitting there with our gloves. We didn't get an autograph or a baseball, so we were bummed out the whole time. But I got to tell you, another thing I did, me and my friend Richard, we'd go, he was a big Yankee fan. And we found out where the visitors would come out. And one year we went to 4 Yankee games in a row, Thursday through Sunday, and we would wait for the Yankees to come out. And every day we got Ricky Henderson's autograph. Oh. And I have it on like an all-star ballot. I have one on a baseball, one on a card. But the best one was on Sunday when he came out, and everybody had gone. And he said, "Have you seen Ken Griffey Sr.?" And that's Ken Griffey Jr.'s dad, who was on the Yankees in '85. And we say, "No, I think he went to the airport. Everybody, the bus left and everything." So we offered him a ride to the airport.
Oh,
and
did he accept?
No, he turned us down. But he did turn us up. But we hung out for him, I don't know for how long, until his ride came. So that was just memories that you always think of. And I remember seeing Cal Ripken play for the first time, and going to Earl Weaver's supposed last game in '82, and they lost to Milwaukee. But just incredible times.
Great stuff. Well, folks, you can look these venues up. If
Absolutely.
You're familiar, if you want to reminisce with us, look them up on YouTube. Look them up on the internet. It's great stuff. You'll be. And if you're not familiar with them, this will give you an idea of what we're talking about, and why we're so
Absolutely. Please give us feedback. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what you want to hear about. Now, next week on Gen X DC, we're going to talk about candy.
Yes.
So candy in the DC area in the 70s and 80s. I'll throw out this. In Prince George's County, we used to call them natalators. Do you remember natalators?
Yeah, I do.
Apparently, they're called now or later.
Grape was my favorite.
So we will talk about that and more on the next edition of Gen X DC.
Thanks, folks. Thanks for watching.